Hello. This is let's see. It's a video in response to a forum post. Specifically, a response to Roll 44 with your post, always seem to be out of adrenaline. Alright, well, good timing. I happen to be making I wanted to make a viable tank build, or tanky build. And so, working on it, doing my thing, trying to do damage and stuff like that. Please ignore the crit damage and crit chance numbers. The core of it is survivability and effective effective hit points. So it has its resistances. I changed weapons around in response to your video or your question, and so of course these values are lower. But at the same time, it feeds into the fact that damage does not matter. All right, so it's about using loadouts to your advantage and potentially, hopefully, using them for utility. So your question, or your quandary is, level 69, about 83% main storyline, 7 segments of adrenaline. So many hours I won't post them, that would be embarrassing. Well, let me tell you, my friend, my hours would be very embarrassing. I can't even seem to maintain enough adrenaline for a battle, and though I get some from sword strikes, I don't use the sword that much, and even when I do, it's not enough. I use primarily the pizza dough, the bow and daggers, a jack of all trades type build. All right, it doesn't matter what weapon you use. Number one, the perks are what matter, and the engravings and perks here apply to your sword strikes. If this was a dagger, everything here and here, everything on your gear applies to the weapon you're using. So it doesn't matter what weapon you're potentially hitting with. It's for resources. It's about speed. How are others managing adrenaline during fights? Personally, I don't use much. I'll show you here. The build I was building, it doesn't require heal. And this is only for Conquest Battle. Rain Cast is only for Conquest. What I was messing around with has no heal at all. I do it on parry, and I do adrenaline on parry. And I'm not using skills, so I don't really need the adrenaline. If I do overpower attacks, I parry to get it back, and I use the base levels. So base attacks, base crits, base parries, regain adrenaline to begin with. We're just enhancing them with the any kind of perks on gear, any kind of it's better here, any kind of perks on our weapons or anything like that. So one of the issues that you're facing is this. Let's say, for instance, you've got your hunter build. You're doing too much damage. That's the problem. With resource regeneration and damage, it's like, for instance, you could be complaining about survivability, but you're doing lots and lots of damage. Well, of course, because you've made a decision. Do I want tankiness, or do I want to run more glass cannon, or pure glass cannon, or Folks of Olympus glass cannon? Do I want to do that and deal max get hurt if you get hit? The same applies to resource regeneration. You want to use a heavy blunt weapon and do maximum damage? Well, you're not going to get all the resources back, number one, because one, you're killing units, and two, you're hitting them so slow. You're doing heavy hits at a very slow rate. So with your bow use, if you're hitting them hard, you don't have a lot of time to on hit and on crit regain adrenaline. I was going to make a video about crit, parry, parry adrenaline and parry heal, but a lot of people may not play that way, or everyone plays different to begin with. So let's talk about damage or return values versus damage values. So your return value, semantics here, I'm terrible with Magic, for instance, the Gathering, but it says adrenaline per hit and adrenaline per crit. So long the stipulation is hit and crit, it does not matter the amount of damage dealt. It's not like the healing, the percent damage dealt returned as health. This is simply on hit, you're getting so much of a bar. It's like your ship. It's like using the Adrestia. So long as you're making contact with the enemy with arrows, more the better, of course, you're getting a return of firepower, a percentage of firepower back automatically. You don't even need the perks in your lieutenants. And same goes with this. So what you want is a fast attack weapon and the highest perks available to you at the time. This loadout using loadouts to your advantage will save you from having to worry about stuff on gear. When you make your, if you choose to do it this way, when you make it, you want as many defensive perks as possible and engravings on the gear. You don't want to worry about adrenaline here, okay? You want crit chance, you want defensive stats. You want to be able to take hits. This will be a multi-purpose video, simply because you've got me thinking here. So yes, you accomplished something amazing. So I threw the health and armor on here. I got the base crit chance. The staff, this is pure arbitrary. This is something I had, maybe something I bought at the vendor because I didn't have, I don't know. I enhanced the crit chance. I'm not worried about damage. I don't want to kill them. I don't want to kill a unit. All right, I want to hit them softly and maximize the effect here. All right, so with this one here, ignore the swords. I know this is something I bought at the vendor. And so the idea is, again, hitting softly, but maximizing the effect. You want resource regeneration only. Ideally, I would have a dagger up there, and I know I recently dismantled one that had double stats on it. Don't worry about anything in your masteries. Don't worry about anything anywhere on any other piece of gear. So it's survivability, utility, period. That's it. Resource regeneration. That's it. That's all you're worried about here. So again, as you said here, how are others managing? It seems I'm always hiding, dodging or hiding until the first segment refills. So you're using Archery Master to fill that, quote, first segment out of combat. It takes a long time to break combat. Sometimes. It could be a dog, chicken, civilian, soldier that you didn't see. Something detects you. You could start the entire process of running away, ducking around, getting into a bush, climbing something, potentially getting arrows and javelins thrown at you and all that goodness. You don't want that, right? On the fly, so long as I believe you're not in the air. I haven't really tested this, but I know that you cannot craft arrows, for instance, mid-tumble. You cannot craft arrows in the air and such. So let's just assume that you can't do it while you're in the process of doing a dodge, a tumble, or you know, jumping off of an object. You sit there, and this also applies to this. The proverbial SHTF hits the fan, right? And you are running your more glass cannon centric damage focused hunter build. You're 3/4 of the way through a fort. You're progressing through the story. You are in the process of doing something. You're sneaking around. You get spotted. You're out of resources, whatever it might be. Okay, instead of running away and hiding and wasting that time to fill up one bar, instead of getting desynced and losing 3/4 of whatever progress, 5-10 minutes of any kind of time because autosave kicked you in the chestnuts, you can sit there and fill yourself up. All right, let's see where I'm at here. All right, so those guys are mad because I just set this fella down. So it could be a fort, could be anything, could be just, you know, you found a corpse. And you're like, hey guys, I'm walking down, trotting down the street, and I got a corpse. And you're in the middle of a fort, and a merc shows up. You have no adrenaline left, and you are innocently carrying this corpse. You were saying, hey guys, look, your friend perished. I don't know how. I didn't do it. I swear to God. You know? And so you're like, oh darn. Well, guess what? Now you can take some hits. You can take some hits. And you're like, oh wow, look at that. You get your adrenaline back. And so this is also going to cover. So you got those 3 adrenaline bars. And we'll assume that you're going to get hit at some point. And also too, you've got heavy soldiers there. You got shields. You don't want to mess with shields. Don't mess with shields. Oh, full adrenaline, right? So let's say we just got hurt really bad. You got that full adrenaline. You're not ready to switch back. Oh, you got shot by an arrow. All this stuff. I'm waiting to get hurt here. All right, I need health. I need health really bad. That was interesting. I got knocked out of a overpower attack. I think that's a bug. That's got to be a bug. Can't be anything else. All right, so now let's go back to the light soldiers that we're not going to kill. Right? This is why you're not getting adrenaline, because you're hitting too hard. Ironically. Alright, so, you know, you're stuck in a fort, you're surrounded. Poop hits the fan. Few attacks, not very many. 15 seconds. Now, look at everyone lined up here. Let's freeze frame. right? You're not killing them. You're getting resources back because you're not killing them, right? Because you're geared for this. Without gimping your primary build, you're geared for this. All right, now everyone's lined up here. All right, I don't know what kind of attacks you use. I don't know what you do, but they're channeled here. All right, they're channeled. Now you can back out. You can duck around the corner, and you could potentially go to menu. And this is not the ideal situation to come into any kind of, purely glass cannon build, but you can come back to this or that. You could do your vanish and give yourself more time, allow yourself to be able to have the room to breathe. Everyone's stunned on the screen. You can duck through the back of the tent here. With vanish, for instance, you could duck through the back of the tent, climb up this, go to that side over there. Come out with the rush assassination and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Come around this over here. You'll survive those incoming ranged attacks. Now, if I make it to that bush over here, I'm going to be undetected. Look at that. Weapons away. I'm undetected. I'm not waiting for adrenaline to come up. I have my adrenaline. Sorry. I have my adrenaline. I have all these units lined up. Now, my next attack can come from behind them. They're looking in the direction I went. I've also separated a mercenary from the group. So these things to keep in mind. You're switching builds to get units together for overpower attacks. You're switching builds to get your resources back. You're switching builds to get out of a bad situation, to reposition yourself. You're switching a build using the loadouts for pure utility there in that case. And now you can come from a different direction. You can come at them from above. You can charge in there and do your 7 adrenaline segments worth of skills. You can do all those things. So this is just an option for players. Again, focus on having as many defensive perks as possible and base crit chance. Base crit chance. That's all that matters. Defensive perks and base crit chance. And then as much adrenaline on hit and crit as possible, and I think you'll be good to go. The high damage builds aren't going to yield you as much because you're one-shotting or two-shotting them. You're not getting all those hits in, and also too, you might not be using fast weapons. And that's the idea as well. So this allows you to survive, allows you to get out of those situations, allows you to manage the situations to your best use and what was I going to say? The most efficient use of adrenaline. Get them grouped up. Get your multi-shot that's not hitting 3 units. Get your multi-shot that's hitting 7 units. Get your overpower attack that's hitting a cluster because you've got them coming at you and you're not in the middle of them, because when you're in the middle of them, they spread out. But when you've got them coming toward you, then they're in a tight group and they're not waiting. They're not queued up to who gets to attack you. They're not giving you that breathing room that's programmed together. They can tightly group up when they're not surrounding you. When they're surrounding you, it's not the most efficient time to use certain skills. You want to dive into them when you've got them chasing you and channeled down a bottleneck or something like that, or a path, or any kind of area that's tighter. So keep that in mind. All right. I hope this helps, and best of luck to you. Roll 44 specifically, and anyone who might find this useful. All right. Any questions, any advice, any tips, any whatever, just let me know. I appreciate it. Take care.